again, everybody. My name is Jace Marino, as you know, and I'm here with Priya today, who will introduce herself in a moment. But if you're returning to this series, what we've covered so far is where to find Teams applications, what are Teams applications, why they're more valuable, and how to use them. And now we're going to cover what it takes to become a Teams application. And Priya, could you maybe, before we get into some questions here, let the audience know your name and your full name and what you do at Microsoft?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Priya Koshi. I'm a senior PM here. I lead the efforts for developer community, the developer experience on documentation, and also the store quality operations for all of Teams apps.
Oh, we're in your debt. It's amazing the work that you've all done, and I'm really excited to share your hard work with the community. But look, my first question would be on this: is many Teams admins want to better understand what it takes to become a Teams app. So how does it get published into the store? What policies does Microsoft have in place to ensure quality, consistency, security, et cetera? How has your organization thought about that?
Yeah, so in order to become a Teams app, that is, in order to be published on the Teams store, the developers have to ensure that they comply with all the validation policies we have published. Now, we have over 300 test cases that we test against to ensure that the partner submitted apps are having a minimum value, they are usable, they respect the end user's privacy and security. So those are the test cases we typically test against. And all of these policies are listed in the commercial marketplace policies.
Perfect. So if I'm a Teams admin, or if you're a Teams admin and you're looking at this for the first time and you want to enable some applications, let's say that you use internally for your folks as they're jumping on Teams, where would you go find more information? Could you maybe walk us through some of that so our admins could be comfortable with the information that we have sitting out there?
Yeah, sure. The policies that we test against are all listed in AKMS AppSource policies page. As you see, there are over 300 policies that we test against. What is primarily important in terms of privacy and security of the end user would be policies related to 100, 1100 and 1140. To your question, Jace, if an IT admin has to check, if the app is good enough or safe, all he needs to check is if it is listed in the global store or not. And if it is, that means it has complied with these 300 plus test cases.
I love it. This is so great. And maybe to call out too, if anybody's watching this and they want to dig a little bit further on this information, I know you have some other things to show. We also do cover app permissions and considerations in the following video to this one, which is we go into a little bit of detail on what access to which information each application might have by capability too.
So policy number 100.5 is very specific to terms and conditions and privacy policy, where the validation team checks to ensure that the end user privacy is secure, is handled and managed safely. So this information needs to be called out very clearly by the developers. We also ensure that this privacy policy calls out developer contact information clearly for the IT admin to contact the partner in case of any queries. We also ensure that whatever links are shown in the app has to be accurate and related to the app offering. There are also checks to ensure that the URLs listed in the app are secure. There should not be any sort of advertisements shown in a Teams app, and also to ensure that these URLs are not spammy. In addition to that, there are also policies which make sure that the app does not make any sort of unexpected changes in a user's environment. The app should not be launching any exe files or taking the user out of Teams context without his permission. Those are important policies that we check for. We also ensure that if the app is asking a user to sign in, that is, provide his credentials and sign into the service, there should be an explicit way to sign out of the service as well. This is further enhancing the security of the add-in.
That's great.
There are also checks to ensure, in addition to the HTTPS and the privacy policy checks, there are also checks to ensure that app does not request unreasonably high permissions. So this would mean that every permission sought by the app is tested against to ensure that it really is linked to the app's functionality. Anything which does not look right is asked for an explanation by the partner, and the validators will cross check it. So that's something important to note. In addition to that, there are also other checks to ensure that the app does not open pop-up windows without user permission. Also that the financial transaction information, for example, credit card, or let's say a personal information like health information, should not be shown in a channel or a group chat context. We also make sure that Teams app does not collect any sort of financial instrument information directly from the user within the Teams context. So those, I would say, are some of the important policies to be mindful of while a developer submits an app, and end customer IT admin can also be rest assured that the Teams apps are safe and secure to be used.
But Priya, I'm hoping I'm not the only one who says this to you folks regularly, but thank you so much. Your efforts go a long way for our customers and are incredibly helpful. So appreciate all the work that you and your team do to make sure that this is a secure experience so folks can use the applications and services they need to get their jobs done. So very much appreciate all your hard work and your team, and thank you for sharing this with us.
No worries. Thanks, Jace.
All right, so thanks to Priya, you now understand the specifics of what it takes to get an app published into the Microsoft Teams App Store. Now, Ryan, can you walk us through the resources that we've made available to admins who want more information and they want to understand the details behind applications and the specifics of what they have access to and what kind of work we do behind the scenes to make sure that these are as compliant as possible?
Sure, Jay. So the Microsoft App Compliance Program is really just a way of providing kind of an extra layer of security to apps. And we have a few different things we do. We have a publisher attestation as well as the Microsoft 365 certification. When we developed this certification, we looked at things like industry best practices. We asked what sort of things IT admins were most concerned about and did our best to incorporate all of those things and to make sure that our certification provides that ample and reasonable level of assurance about an app's security and compliance posture. Right now, our process currently covers Teams apps, SharePoint apps, as well as all Office add-ins from Word, Excel, PowerPoint. But we are working on expanding that to encompass the full breadth of the app ecosystem. So any sort of web apps or any other apps that reside on the Microsoft platforms and marketplaces. So that's where our program's headed.
Awesome. Walking us through, if you've been published as an application in our Teams App Store, which we just found out, what is usually the next step if we want to provide more transparency around the security, compliance, details, information, et cetera, for our tenant admins for Teams so they can make sure that they're securely managing these solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. We have something designed specifically for that. So the publisher attestation itself is really just a set of standardized questions that address those things like app security, data handling, and other compliance attributes. And once an ISV goes through and completes this, we publish this information to our publicly available Microsoft Docs webpage. And this really provides a portal for IT admins to go and read about some of the security and compliance information that's critical for them to make decisions on which apps they can trust.
Perfect. And then correct me if I'm wrong, there's even another additional layer we provide with the certification program, right? Can you walk us through that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Microsoft 365 certification is a way of providing assurances to IT admins that their data and privacy will be protected when they're using a certified app. And the key difference here is that unlike the publisher attestation where we just take this information at face value, the Microsoft certification actually requires an assessment and validation of the app against key security controls by Microsoft prior to awarding the certification.
Nice. So if you were a customer, what stands out to you on these pages? Like, is there anything really important that, if you were going and managing this for an organization, let's say you left Microsoft and you did this, that you'd want to see on those pages that's sitting there right now?
Absolutely. So if I'm managing an app, I'm going to be especially concerned about things like encryption. And if you go to the publisher attestation webpage, you can see that an app has, encryption at rest, encryption in transit. You can also look at various other external compliance frameworks that they may or may not have. So if you're concerned about them having a SOC 2 or ISO 27001 or other standard industry frameworks, you can see all of that information directly there.
Yeah, that's perfect. And what we're also going to do, the follow-up from this video, just for those watching, which will be in the tab, is that we're going to cover application permissions and considerations as a follow-up to this. So understanding based on an app capability. So for example, if an app has a bot capability to it, what access does that mean the bot has inside of Teams in terms of your information? I don't mean to put you on the spot, so if you can't share this, no worries. But is there anything you guys are sharing at the moment that you're working on next, and some iterations that are coming?
Right now, our chief concern is we're trying to work to better understand IT admins and what they're most concerned about, and trying to broaden our certification to make sure that it's really comprehensive and really closely aligns with what they value the most. In the future, we would like to do various sort of interface features that allow apps and IT admins to do things such as, filter based on certified apps and things like that. Our hope is that we can establish a trusted ecosystem of verified apps where ISVs using our platforms and customers who value security and the data privacy of their apps can come together.
Love it. I love your work. Thank you so much for sharing it with us too. I imagine this is going to help quite a few organizations. So appreciate your time, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Jace.